Okay, let's make something very clear. I do think economists, they should be accountable for their advice. That's 100% sure. We economists, we are in a very privileged position. We learn tools that can help to solve social issues, economic issues. We can assess these issues. So we do what's missing, and that goes back to many things I've been saying up to now, is a training as well regarding how we deal with the consequences of that tools, of these advices. We don't really look into the consequences because we are stuck in that framework of objectivity, of neutrality, of science, and we think it will be all right. But no, we do need to have a clear discussion about the consequence of the social consequences of our our device when it comes to policy. And for me, that goes back to the issue I mentioned before of this code of ethics that we need. I think this is even more important in a realm such as economics, where is a social science. We're not gonna be able to grasp the truth, the best theory ever, and we still have to advise politicians and policymakers. So I think more than ever, we need to have this kind of ground, kind of ethical framework that help us to do that and be accountable for that. So in terms of responsibilities, I think in this context, perhaps I would just mention two responsibilities that I think economists, they should have when dealing with human beings, with us. One of them I mentioned somehow, which is linked to economics being useful, be concerned with social betterment. And this implies, from my perspective, to avoid relying on methods that underplay inequalities. And inequalities here, I'm talking about inequalities of income, gender, race, and between countries. And I also think we should avoid relying on framework that underplayed, some of the contradictions that you can see in that system of production and consumption, and contradictions which, by the way, include the entire discussion of climate change, for example. So I think that this is the first responsibility that I think economists, they should have, is what is our concern here? What is economics about, in a way? The other kind of responsibility, I think I would say, is a sense of epistemic privilege that economists, they have, and they should be aware of it. They should be self-critic to their own privilege that they have when advising, for example, governments and politicians. I think they should have in their mind, they should understand that we should be concerned about different narratives about what's happening in society, different narratives about who we are. This should be kind of prerequisites for any researchers. No, there is no one truth. There are many, and you need to deal with that. And I've been arguing for a very long time now, but more recently I've been very emphatic about that economics, as in any other social theory, is immersed in this kind of pool of implicit, but also explicit debate over methodology, different narratives, the issue of structure versus agency. So, when you look into these debates, and the history of these debates in social science and economics, we see this myriad of views, interpretations, and different perspectives. So, which goes back to my point that the truth about social reality is basically this, unachievable goal. So here we are dealing with different realities, different objective realities, different cultures, different ways to express them, different methods to study them. And this is not about being subjective and ideological. So economists, they should understand that. That's my self-critic, my point about economists being self-critic vigilance about this. They need to understand these elements, the elements shaping the knowledge they have, they should understand that there are forces shaping this knowledge. They should become realistic about how sometimes there's the narrative line may be just one perspective and may not be the right perspective or the perspective that impacts everybody in the same way. So we need to kind of, for me, the point on be self-critic vigilant as a researcher is key for economists. So I see these two responsibilities really, the social betterment and who we are as a research. We don't hold the truth, and we have to respect different views and approaches, and try our best, really contrasting different explanations and so on.